Hey everyone, what you see here is my latest attempts of building an isometric game. This is inspired by Final Fantasy Tactics, which is a game that I played a lot on the original PlayStation. And it involves like this three-dimensional isometric map that allows you to spin around. But then actually all the characters that you see here are 2D sprites. And I just wanted to see if I could go and replicate this in my game. And so here you can see, here's my current progress. I have certain capabilities that I'm able to do right now. I can walk, and then I can attack, and the AI also responds to me. And you can see that there's a lot of similarities between what we saw earlier and what I'm trying to build. But today's video is not specifically about this. The main thing that I wanted to highlight is that I built a majority of what you see here on screen, not on my computer, but from my phone. And if you're using AI, being able to work on your projects while you're away from your computer is a huge unlock for your productivity. And you probably have seen the big news recently from Claude Code. They have launched their new remote control feature. And let me just show you this running right over here. So on the left, you can see this is Claude Code running, and I just did a command. And over on the right-hand side is it running on the Claude app on the phone. And this is now completely in sync. So watch this. If I say commit these changes, you can see on this side, it has now picked up exactly what is happening over here on the phone as well. So this is a huge unlock if you want to be able to write code on the go. But there is one problem. While remote controls allows you to continue write coding and working in your project, big thing that you still can't do is access what you see over here, which is running on localhost. So today, I'll be showing you how you can have what's running on localhost access right on your phone as well. So you can see I can jump into my game over here. I can perform all of the same actions that we saw before. And everything is running based on the latest code that's on my computer that's running on localhost. And this workflow, my friends, is actually the bigger unlock here, right? So it's not just about being able to code changes on your computer, but it's being able to test it as well. But I actually built this not with Claude Code. I built this with Codex. And you will know that Codex does not have remote control functionality just yet. So an extra bonus today, I'll be showing you how you can go beyond Claude Code and connect any terminal application, whether it's Codex or OpenCode or whatever you like to use. You can get this running on your mobile device, and there is going to be a direct sync as well. So for example, if I say update the README, you can see there's a direct sync between what's happening on my phone and what's happening right here on my computer. I can swap between what's running here in Codex into my Claude Code session that's running over here as well. And so you can see everything that's happening in Claude Code is happening on my phone, and everything that's happening on Codex is also happening on my phone. So in today's video, I'll show you how you can get yourself set up like this so you'll be able to use all of your AI tools and write code from pretty much anywhere. Now, before we get started, if you are an AI developer trying to keep up with all the latest news, you will know that Twitter is the place to be. For example, when the remote control feature was launched, it came out right on Twitter first. And all the other tips that I'm going to show you today about how you can actually connect Codex, use things like Termius and Tmux and Tailscale, and all of these stuff all has come from Twitter. So if you are an AI enthusiast, a vibe coder, an AI engineer, you know that Twitter can be a wealth on it. However, if you use Twitter a lot yourself, you know that a big problem is that there's also a lot of noise. And the hard part is really about how you want to keep the high quality content that you find easily searchable. And what you can do is that you can always like a post, or you can make use of bookmarks. So for example, you can do this and you can click add to folder. And so in this case, I will add this to the Codex bookmark that I have. But if you are an X user, you will know that the bookmark system is pretty hard to navigate. Even though you have all these folders, it's not always easy to find what you're looking for. And this is the reason why I built RewindBack. RewindBack is just the simplest tool that supercharges your bookmarks, and it gives you all the tools you need to get the most out of what you've already bookmarked. For example, it gives you the feed that you have over here. You can see the trends of the different bookmarks that you've done. You can scope it down based on specific times in the day. It uses all of the folders that you have already defined in X, and so this allows you to very easily filter based on them. But not only that, I've also included a lot of other features that I think are missing. For example, you can add tags. So in this case, I can say pixel art. And then you can go ahead and add notes. This is pretty cool. All right. And all of these will be very easily searchable. You can see my other game dev tags over here. So I created this tool specifically to help me to get the most out of X. So if you are on X a lot, trying to stay up to date with information, you definitely want to check this out. And as a launch promotion, you can use this discount code to get additional discounts on the Pro and Max plans. Links and details in the description below. And without further ado, let's get started with today's video. All right, so what I'm going to do is just type Claude, and I'm going to use dangerously skip permissions. And the reason why I'm doing this for this demo is because I don't want it to keep prompting me every time I want to make a change. And this is a fairly safe environment, and it's just a small project. There isn't any databases. Everything is run locally, so it's very safe. So you want to make sure that you are careful. But if you're working on an actual project, you want to use something like a sandbox within Claude Code. And let's just take a look at the game over here. So let's just say that the thing that we want to do is just make this character preview. Let's just say we want to make this character preview panel over here collapsible. All right, this is fairly simple, fairly safe. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say make on the character preview screen, and I'm going to use Whisper over here. On the character preview screen, make the panel collapsible. Okay, and I'm going to hit this over here. Okay, so all right, so now that you're in, what you want to do is type / and then remote control. Okay, and now what it's going to do is that it's going to connect this session to Claude's secure server, and you will be able to open this up within a URL that will allow you to access this on the web. So I'm just going to hop over here and just paste this. Okay, and then I'm going to log in over here. Okay, and you will see. Okay, all right, and once you paste this, so I'm just going to open a new. If you open a new browser and you paste this in, you will see that there's this thing showing up now on the web version of Claude Code, and it says interactive session at this specific time. And so this will now be completely synced. So let me just show you how this works. As I say, let's just do an init just to allow the agent to get I'm just going to do init so that the agent is going to be able to read the claude.md file and give a summary of this project, which is always a good starting point. But if you swap in over here, so you can see this is ongoing now. And if I just move over to this panel, to this screen that we saw, you can see that this is now completely synced. The init command that I sent in over here is also the init command that I sent in on Claude Code that you see in the terminal is now showing up on the web. And you can see all of the steps where it's taking to explore the code base that you can also see running on Claude Code over here is happening in real time. This is why it's really cool now. Previously, Claude Code on the web would not be doing things live, right? Now, previously, Claude Code on the web was like in its own instance, whereas in this case, the two sessions are directly synced with one another. And the cool part is that, all right, so everything here is being synced one-to-one. All right, so you can see now this is completed on the web, and it's also completed in your terminal as well. So this is why this is so useful. So let me show you why this is extremely useful, because not only is it running on the web, but if I pull it up on my phone, go into this panel over here and go to code, and you will. But the cool thing here is that if you have Claude installed on your iOS, on your mobile devices, if you have Claude installed on your mobile device as well, you will be able to head on over to this one over here and click on code. And you will see that this same interactive session is now showing up. All right. And this, once again, is completely synced with everything that's happening on the web, as well as everything that's happening in the terminal. And so this means now that if you happen to be away from your computer and you needed to continue to work on this, you will be able to do this project over here. You can see this is an isometric game that I'm working on right now, and this is the character preview screen. Okay, and I don't really like how this character preview panel occludes what I'm seeing on the screen over here, because sometimes I want to take a screenshot and share it on X or Twitter. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, I want this to now be collapsible. So it's really easy, because on my phone, all I have to do is say on the character preview screen, and I can just do this right on my phone over here, right? I'm going to do this over here. I'm going to the character preview panel to be called collapsible. All right, and so that's going to kick off. And while this is happening, I'm just going to swing this over to everything that's happening over here. So you can see I kicked it off on my phone. Everything that's happening on my phone that you see over here is also directly synced with what's going on in my terminal on my computer. And this is a really key unlock, because now it means that if you are somewhere else, if you're on the train, you're on the sofa, you're away from your computer, you're going to still have full access to your actual session that's running on your computer. All right. So now if we just swing in over here, you can see if I just loop the animation, everything is still working the same, but this character panel is now collapsible. So this is really good. And don't forget, now that you are synced onto your computer as well, you're going to be able to do something like commit these changes with a descriptive message. All right. And this will, because this is running on your computer, on your device, right? You're going to be able to have your version control. You're going to have everything. If you're using something like Git for your version control, this is now going to commit it. And I'm just going to open this over here. All right. And you can see over here, it says that it's committed 592. You can see that it's committed this in at this hash over here. And on my computer, this has now gone in. So add collapsible character preview panel with the message. And this is just super useful because now you don't need to be at your computer to be able to make direct changes to your working directory in your terminal. So now that we've got everything working and we've seen that this session that we see over here in Claude Code is synced up completely on our phone as well as on the web. And as I mentioned at the beginning, this is really cool. It allows you to work on your projects, but there is one problem that it still does not solve. Okay, and let me show you what it is. Whenever you're building any project, you'll most likely be running it on your local host. For example, over here, this entire project is running on localhost. I haven't actually deployed it yet. And a lot of ways that these cloud agents currently work is that they will usually make a change and then they'll push it into the GitHub repo and then they'll deploy it on some preview deployment out there. But this kind of defeats the purpose of it running on your local machine and having everything all running and synced up. So how do you access a localhost 5173 while you're on your mobile phone or your other device and you're not at your computer? And that's the thing that we're going to solve today, because without you being able to access this, you can't actually see if these changes are actually looking correctly. But before I show you how this is done, let me show you the end result that we want to get to. And here it is. This is running on my phone. And you can see that I'm actually to this exact same localhost system over here. This is actually running what's on localhost. In fact, it is actually connected to my local machine over here and is able to get the latest updates that has happened over here. So you see the menu over here is collapsible, is exactly the change that has happened on my machine. Now you wouldn't be able to easily or securely do this, right? The first thing that you would need to do is somehow expose the IP address of your machine at this port and then connect your phone to that IP address. But that's quite insecure because if you are broadcasting your IP address to the entire internet, it means anybody can access localhost. And all you need is just one mistake and you're not just exposing 5173, you might end up exposing some other port and people can get remote access of your computer. So in order to solve this problem, we are going to use something called Tailscale. Now Tailscale is like a VPN. And now wait, I don't mean a VPN where you can spoof where you're coming from or anything like that. What it does is that it actually creates an actual secure private network that links your devices together. Now, ignore this fairly corporate looking website because once you get into the dashboard, this is what you will see. And this is what I meant. If you actually look down here, I have two devices. One of them is my MacBook Pro and my other one is my iPhone device. And what Tailscale does, quite simply, is that it creates a secure network in which your devices all live. So only you can decide which devices are allowed on it. And once they are allowed on it, it then provides you with a secure URL that only you will be able to access. So if anybody tries to access these IP addresses that you see over here, they're not going to be able to do. Okay. So the way that you go about doing this is that you just go to Tailscale and then you just go to downloads and then just download it for whatever operating system that you're using. And once you've got Tailscale set up, what you can see is that it will appear in your taskbar over here. Once you got it installed on your desktop, the next thing you want to do is just do it for your mobile device. So if I'm just going to click on this over here. So I'm using an iPhone, but this also works for Android. And this is the Tailscale app. All you need to do is just install it and then you log in to that same account. Okay, let me just pull it up on my phone so that you can see what's happening. This is the Tailscale app running on my device and it's connected to my accounting. You can see it's the exact same set of devices that I have authenticated. So only these two devices log into my account will be able to access these URLs. And the next thing that you want to do now, and all you need to do now is just copy whatever this URL is. All right, so in this case, it's 100.76, and then I've just obfuscated this just for security. Then all you have to do is just type in the exact same URL that you see over here. And you want to use the URL of your MacBook, not of your phone, because you'd be trying to connect to yourself, which isn't the best. You want to be connecting to your machine over here. And then you just put in the port 5173 as you see over here. And once you do that, you'll be able to access the exact same thing that you see on localhost running on your device over here. You'll be able to access everything on your device, and you can actually also test to make sure that all of your touch gestures and your touch interfaces are working as well. So hopefully that has shown you the reason why you want to be using Tailscale in conjunction to a remote application, like in conjunction to a remote control application, in addition to what Claude Code provides with that remote control. All right, so what we've seen is that thanks to Claude's remote control functionality, you are now able to access the exact same session running on your phone. But not only that, I've shown you that thanks to Tailscale, you'll also now be able to access what's on localhost on your device as well, as you see over here. And this is a really good unlock because not only can you make your changes to your code, you can actually test what's on your machine right on your phone as well. Now, just one more problem, and that is this works for Claude Code, but what if you are not a Claude Code user or you want to use something like Codex? Like I mentioned at the beginning of the video, even before Claude Code had this functionality, I found a way to be able to make use of Claude Code and Codex or any other agentic terminal without having to rely on something called remote control. And the way that you do so is by making use of two tools. All right, I actually have found a way to be able to access what's sitting here on my terminal. I've actually found a way to access what's sitting here on my terminal without having to make use of this remote control. All right, and the tool that I'm using is something called Termius. Termius is an SSH client, and an SSH client is effectively a way for you to connect to your machine from any device. In this case, I want to connect it with my mobile phone. Now, remember, before that, for you to be able to connect to your computer without something like Tailscale, you would have had to expose your computer's IP address before allowing your device to connect to it. And that poses some security risk if you do not set it up correctly. But thanks to Tailscale, now you have a secure setup. So now all you need to do is just download Termius and then run it on your device, and then you can then connect straight into it. And let me show you how it's done over here. All right, so this is Termius running, and all you need to do is you just have to do add and then do new host. And all you need to do down here is that you just have to paste this IP address of your computer into this over here. So in this case, it would be 100.76, and then just this xxx.yyyy. Okay, and then that's pretty much all you need to do. You can use SSH or you can use Mosh. And I've not used Mosh myself, but I actually heard that it actually helps you to circumvent some of the problems of SSH. But I'll show you what I use currently, and so that it's foolproof. Okay, so once you've added this in, you can give it a name, and I'll just show it to you right over here. So you can see this is the session I have, and I'm just going to open this. And once you've authenticated to it, it will open things up in your terminal. Then right here, you can see I have full access to my computer. All right, so if I can go to projects, and then I'm working in this thing called the tic-tac game. Okay, and you can see this is exactly the same thing if I were to just jump out of this for a second. All right, and then if I do ls over here and I do ls over here, you can see it's exactly the same thing that we see over here. So we have full access to your computer system. However, the problem that you see here immediately is that these two things are not synced. So let me just show this to you here. All right, so you can see I can type Claude here and I can start doing things here. However, things are not synced. All right, because this is a completely separate session and this is just not going to work. So how do you actually solve this problem? This is where the second tool comes in. This is something called Tmux, and I wouldn't go into too much details about what this is, but effectively, this is something called a terminal multiplexer. But without going into too much details, let me just show you how it works. And it's super easy to install. All you need to do is just run one of these commands, and I'm on Mac, so I just use brute install Tmux. And once this is installed, this will allow you to do the following. All right, so I'm sitting here in tic-tac game. All right, so the first thing you want to do in your terminal, and you can actually do this and you can do this in any terminal. All right, so I'm using Ghosty most of the time, but you can actually do this right in your regular terminal as well. So let me just show you how this works. So all you have to do is do Tmux new, and you're creating like a new session. All right, and I'm just going to do -s, which is the name of the screen, and I'm just going to call this AI oriented. Okay, so once this happens, this green bar at the bottom just shows you that you have a specific session called AI oriented right now. Okay, so if I go into projects, all right, and now I go into where I was earlier, which is the tic-tac game, and here we are, right? Now I want to do a direct sync. I want to remember the fact that I was actually already in here. Okay, so what you have to do now is that on your phone over here, all you have to do is just Tmux, and this time you do attach, and then you do -T, and then you type in the name of that stream that you created earlier. So you do AI and here you go. You can see, boom, straight away, you have now completely synced your phone with the session that's running on your computer over here. And this is very powerful because let me just show you. If I start Claude right now, can you see what's happening on the right-hand side? Everything that's happening on my computer is running on my device as well. And like I said, this will work for Claude and this will also work for Codex. So if I do Codex, okay, everything is just completely synced, and I'm actually going to go ahead and implement a feature right over here. So right here, I can actually use my phone, right? So let me show you the game that I'm making right now, the actual main game. If you play Final Fantasy Tactics, this should look a lot familiar, but I'm playing as my character. Okay, so one of the things that I'm going to do is that I'm going to try to walk, so I can walk a little bit closer, and I'm going to end my turn, and you can see that the enemy is coming towards me over here, and he attacks me. So now it's my turn again, so I'm going to attack this time. I'm going to select to attack the enemy. So I can choose to walk away a bit further so that he has to walk towards me, and you can see the enemy is coming towards me again. All right, so one of the things that I would like to do is that right now I am not able to zoom in and out, all right? And this back to menu occludes things over here. So you can see I can do this on my phone. I can say in the main game, I want to be able to zoom in and out using the same controls as the character Tailscale. And then I'm going to say also the back to menu button is occluding the turns indicator. Okay, so now you have this, and now you're basically being able to, you can see this is pretty much the same feature as remote control, but now it works for anything. It works for Codex, it works for any other terminal. You could be using open code. This will just work right off the box. And this is a very powerful workflow that allows you to pretty much write code from anywhere, right? And while admittedly, Claude Code having remote control makes things just a little bit more easier, if you use this approach of using Termius, Tailscale, and Tmux, you're going to be able to use this for anything. And you are no longer restricted to Anthropic making their updates. You can just get hold of this feature and this functionality right off the box. Okay, and all right, so this is how you do it. There are a few more additional things about working with Tmux and Termius. All right, so for example, I can create a new session over here and just say this is running in this terminal, but just say I create a new Tmux session, do Tmux, new, and then I call this session name, just say I called it Claude Code. Okay, and then now I can do Claude, which is running over here. And then, like I said, Tmux attach -T, Claude Code. All right, this is running right over here. And so now you can, for example, say update the README. All right, and now you can actually just switch between multiple different sessions on your computer. You can be running Claude Code, and then you can be running Codex, and everything will just work right off the box. And you can effectively continue to be, you basically have your entire system terminal set up on your phone, and you're going to be able to do pretty much anything. You're not restricted to whether it's Claude Code or Codex. You can basically switch between any tools that you want. But the main concept that I wanted to demonstrate to you is the fact that with this workflow, you're effectively going to be able to work from anywhere and access your computer, and you're not relying on new functionality provided by the big providers. You can just do it right off the bat. Okay? All right, so I really hope that you found this tutorial and video informative. I think workflow improvements such as this are a huge unlock for you as an AI engineer or vibe coder, whatever you like to call yourself. Not being confined to being at your desk and being able to do this thanks to the power of AI is just a superpower. And the sooner you get hold of this and get familiar with this setup, the better and more productive you're going to be. So if you enjoyed today's video, definitely give it a like. Don't forget, hit that subscribe button, and don't forget to turn on notifications so that you'll always be the first to know when new content like this drops. And if you haven't seen my previous video where I actually show you how I created a 3D point-and-click adventure game that works on mobile, and it looks great, it plays great, it sounds great, you definitely want to check out this other video over here. All right, so till next time, I'll see ya.